welcome to the This Week in Golf podcast, and let's get right into it. What is next for Tiger Woods? I was just at Riviera last week. It was the Genesis Open, an elevated event for the PGA Tour, $4 million on the line. And, Matsuyama won it. It was huge. We'll get into that a little bit more. But what's next for Tiger? Tiger was at the event. We went out on Friday. I went last year on Friday as well. Last year, my thought process was he might not make the cut. So we better go Thursday and Friday because he hadn't played in almost a year. And this year, it was a cut. There was a cut, but I think only like 10 people got cut from the event. So there was a high likelihood he was going to make it. But we went on Friday anyways. And again, kind of the same concept as last year. Is like, one is, will he make the cut? And then two is he physically able to finish? Now, since last year he did not have the ankle fused. This year he's had his ankle fused. So walking, well, I should say it shouldn't be an issue, but I mean, come on. The guy's 48 years old. He's had knee surgery, back surgery. He's had his ankle fused. So that's why we went on Friday. He might not make the cut, and then he might not be able to finish physically. As it turns out, he wasn't able to finish physically because of an illness, influenza, the flu, as you and I know it. But we did get there. When we got there, he was on the first hole. And when you come into Riviera, you're on the first hole. So we saw him there, mainly the crowd. I mean, it's pretty cool to go see an event with Tiger at it because of the crowd that follows him around everywhere. And it's a scene, man. Especially in LA, it's a scene. You got people in costumes. You got celebrities. You got people that look like they're celebrities. Everybody in LA is what my buddy said, they're like the main character in a movie. Nobody wants to be a supporting actor in LA. Everybody wants to be the main character. But we were there, and as NPCs, non-player characters, we were just watching and actually had access to the TGR tent. It's one of the charities I support, so they were kind enough to give me a spot in the tent. So we watched Tiger play a little, or like the Army, and then we got in front of it. And when we went up to the booth, or the suite was on 17. And so on the side you entered through, there was a deck. And so we watched him tee off on 4. We grabbed a little food, we got a drink, and we figured we'd go out and walk with him for a while. So we walked down to 6, and he made a par on 6. The crowd goes crazy. And then next thing you know, well, we didn't even notice it at the time. We were just walking around looking at some other groups. And then we went back to the tent. And by the time we got back to the tent, we saw the leaderboard and we're like, where is he? He wasn't even on the leaderboard. So we went online and, well, he had dropped out, unfortunately. And of course, everybody in LA went home. Like the entire course cleared out. There were probably 2,000-3,000 people following Tiger around, and when he dropped out, everybody went home. So that's what happened at RIV. Let's just wrap up the rest of the tournament at RIV. It was pretty awesome. But just some things that kind of suck. Again, this LIV thing kind of sucks for everybody because whether you like it or you hate it, the fields just aren't as strong because of it. But this was an elevated event, so all the big names were there. And Matsuyama won it. He won $4 million. And he shot 62 on Sunday. And he had 2 incredible shots on the 15th hole, which is one of the harder holes at Riviera. He hit the ball to about 6 inches. He hit his second shot to about 6 inches away for the birdie. And then he gets up on 16, the very next hole, and he hits it to about 2 inches away, another birdie. He birdies 17, and then pars 18. He finishes, and there was still like 4 groups on the course. He had gone out quite a bit earlier than the other groups. So he was done for a good 45 minutes to an hour, but no one was going to challenge him. So, there were some other guys in there, but they just couldn't do it. Cantlay played well Thursday and Friday, and he got to about 12 under, but then I think he finished the tournament around 14 under. So he just didn't do anything on Saturday or Sunday. Let me just tell you from watching the tournament, homie is slow. He's a slow player. When we were on 17 in the suite waiting, there was every group was waiting to hit up on the green, and then the group in front of his group finished, and he hadn't even teed off yet. So I don't know what's going on, but for whatever reason, that group was slow. Jordan Spieth got kicked out, disqualified. I don't know what he did. I didn't even follow it. He signed the wrong scorecard. But it brought up an interesting conversation between me and my buddy Sid. It was like, why, at this stage, $4 million on the line, every shot is captured. Why is anybody getting disqualified or a stroke penalty for signing the wrong card? I mean, you shouldn't even have to keep score at this point. You know, you got a guy walking around with a scoreboard, just have him put it in the computer. It's in the computer, for God's sakes, right? Like, you know, after 15 holes, somebody's 2 under for the day. So give it up. TV ratings were down. I mean, what are you going to say? Tiger wasn't there. You know, it is what it is. That's it. So that was RIV as a whole. It was, again, I love going out there. It's a fun tournament to go out to. It's a cool course. It's a really cool course, especially when you walk it. And now that I've walked it and seen it played on television over the years, you kind of get to know the holes. Let's get back to what's up for Tiger, or what's next for Tiger, though, because that's kind of what's going on now, right? It's like the problem is, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh, can he win another tournament? I mean, I guess the better question is can he finish? You know, is he physically able to actually play in a tournament, one, make the cut, and then finish the tournament as well? So those two questions always linger. And again, he's 48 years old, so he's getting up there. But he does have a lot of things going now. And so I think the future for Tiger is in kind of several things. One of them is he's basically running the PGA Tour now. He has a spot on the player advisory board. He has a lot of power, a lot of influence over not only the other players, but the other board members as well. The tour just did a deal with the SSG, the Strategic Sports Group, and he was heavily involved in that, in getting that deal done over the PIF. So it looks like he's going to be taking on quite the leadership role within the tour. That's one of the things. The other thing that they had started, and they were trying to get it off the ground in January or February of this year, but they had a major mishap, was this TGL Indoor Golf League. I think it's called the Tiger Golf League. That's the indoor simulator league. Did a podcast on it a couple months ago. Unfortunately for them, what happened is they built like this, I guess it's a dome, but it's a tent. It's a fine line between a dome and a tent. It's more of a tent. And, you know, that's where they were going to build the simulator. It was going to have 100 yards of grass and a chipping area and whatnot. But there was a storm, and the storm took out the entire tent. So the TGL is basically done for this year, and so I guess they'll get it going again next year. So that's one of the other things, the TGL, the Indoor Golf League, team-based, some sort of winnings and money on the line. And then the final thing is now this clothing line, the Sunday Red clothing line. I'm just going to call it Sunday Red, but everybody's like, Sunday Red. You sound like a dork. Just call it Sunday Red. Sunday Red, the new clothing line. A lot of people talking smack about it online. Logo's pretty bad, man. Logo's pretty bad. I haven't seen the clothing itself, so I won't make a comment on that. And even if I did, I probably still won't. But let's be honest, Nike clothing sucks. It really does. Like, I don't know. Can you be more generic in your life than to have a Nike golf shirt? Nike golf hat? Unless you're Brooks Koepka and you're getting paid a lot, I guess. But I've never really cared for Nike's apparel. I think it's very homogenous. There's nothing to it. So anyways, so that's what's up with Tiger. A lot of things going on for him as far as the league, the indoor league, running the PGA, the clothing line. He's not, hurting for businesses and business ideas. So that's good. And good for him. We'll see what happens in the future. Hopefully he gets to play and finish. I mean, his next event is the Masters. Perhaps he'll play Bay Hill or one of the other ones before the Masters, the Players perhaps, to get himself warmed up. See if he can actually finish around. Hope so. Tiger playing golf is good for golf. Okay, that wraps that up. And then let's just talk some random thoughts about the merger ideas, things that cross the old mind here. One of the merger talks this week that the PGA Tour players keep saying and all the people on the Golf Channel keep saying is, what is the pathway back to players coming back to the PGA Tour? What is the pathway back? They must do something to earn their trust again, or pay money or whatever, right? Like, it's such an odd talking point, because if you follow, you don't even have to follow LIV. There's not one LIV player that wants to go back to the PGA Tour. Not one. Now, there might be some that get demoted and they don't have anywhere else to go, so they'll probably have to go back. So, okay, maybe we need a pathway back for those people. But those guys have been demoted, so, it's going to be tough for them to get back anyways. So nobody wants to come back. So that's the first thing. So that's an odd talking point. Okay, so here's another thought I had. The SSG, the Strategic Sports Group, has invested $3 billion into the PGA Tour, and they say the PGA Tour is worth $12 billion. So they own a quarter of the PGA Tour. So how can they get their money back? Well, what if, as in real estate, they do a short sale? Short sale means I buy a property, I don't know, for $500,000, and then I turn around and sell it a day later for $600,000, $550,000. And I wouldn't make, say if I bought it for $500 and I sold it for $550, I wouldn't make $50,000 because I'd have fees, but I might make $40,000. So what if the SSG did a short sale to PIF? That would be a good one. Hey, we put in $3 billion, we'll give you, for $4 billion, we'll give it to you. Just instant profit. Nobody I'm sure the stipulations in the contract say they can't do that, but trust me, those baseball owners are shrewd, man. And Arthur Blank, they'd make the deal if they could. That's one idea. And the other idea we had, we were discussing this the other night. We were actually in Santa Monica, and we thought of so the tournament at Torrey Pines is sponsored by Farmers Insurance. They call it the Farmers, and the Farmers is no longer going to be the sponsor of the tournament. 2025, I think, is their last year. So next year is their last year. So our thought process is well, what if? And by the way, there's a bunch of these tournaments that are losing sponsorships. And now they need extra money. So our thought process was, well, what if the PIF, the Saudis, and LIV came in and sponsored a PGA Tour event? Obviously, again, the PGA Tour probably isn't going to let it happen. But even if the PIF sponsored the tournament, the tournament sponsor gets like 8 entries into the tournament. So there's a path back to the PGA Tour for the LIV guys. That'd be fun. And the final thought of the day is the OWGR, the One World Golf Ranking System. One World Golf Ranking. Well, there's been a lot of talk, at least online and Twitter, in the golf communities, if you follow them, about Joaquin Niemann won a LIV event, and would he get invited to the Masters? Well, today he actually did get invited to the Masters. But this talk has been going on for about 3 or 4 weeks now since he won the LIV event. Would he get into the Masters? He's a great player. His One World Golf ranking went down. So up. It got worse. He wins a tournament, a LIV tournament, and then his ranking went, I think he was like 75th. And then I don't even think he's 75th, actually. I think he's worse than that. But anyways, if he was ranked 75th, he wins the LIV tournament, and then his ranking went to like 130. Same thing happened to Dustin Johnson 2 weeks ago when he won in Las Vegas. Wins the tournament, his One World Golf ranking goes higher, not lower. So this whole system is a joke. Everybody knows it's a joke. And now finally the golf community and golf people on Twitter are realizing it back and forth. Mainly the reason it got brought into the fold this week is because Greg Norman made a post, I believe on Instagram, and it had the One World Golf ranking and then the other golf ranking entities, and it showed where the LIV players should actually rank. And so that got some chit chat going back and forth. And maybe you're one of these people. And if you are one of these people, you need to come up with a new talking point / argument. That argument is well, they went over to LIV, so they knew they were going to lose their world ranking, and it's LIV's fault, and it's their fault for taking the money and doing business with the Saudis. Oh, that guy Arthur Blank we talked about earlier, he does deals with the Saudis. SSG, every one of those owners of the baseball teams or whatever they own, the Boston Red Sox, they do deals with the Saudis. How's it different? You tell me. So, but this one world golf ranking system is basically, it gives the PGA Tour, if you play in a PGA Tour event, you get the highest possible points or ranking. So if you play in, I don't know, the Asia Pacific Tour, you get one world golf ranking, but you don't get the same points that you would if you want to even played in a PGA event. So you could win a tournament in Asia or the DP World Tour, and you'll get some points. But you could also, if you played in the PGA Tour event and you scored in the top 25, you'll probably get more points than someone who won a DP World Tour event. So this one world golf ranking system, it's basically all the majors, and they've come together to say that the PGA Tour events are worth the highest amount of points. LIV is worth nothing, by the way, but the PGA Tour events are worth the highest. DP World Tour, and then all the other tours have points as well, and that's how they're going to rank things. The problem is, here we go, we're getting close to April now with the Masters, and the Masters, we're talking about the best players in the world. So, I just don't know how you slice it any other way. Like, 20 of the best players in the world are playing on LIV. You may not like that, but 20 of the best players in the world are playing on LIV. And then, the other 20 are on the PGA Tour. That's a fact. And until we get those guys playing together, first at the majors, then maybe like head-to-head LIV versus PGA, or get some of the LIV guys over to these PGA events, like the Players and these other events. Riviera, these fields aren't as good when you go out to watch an event, a PGA Tour event. When you go to Riviera and the defending champion, Jon Rahm, is not there. Well, why is he not there? He went to LIV. He's a traitor. Can't be over here. Rahm would have played Riviera if they let him. He's the defending champion. He loves Riviera. TV ratings are down. Why? Because 20 of the best guys are playing in LIV. So something needs to be done. Anyways, there's been more talk, especially online, amongst the people, the fans. And you have to remember, there's only probably 3 to 4 million people that watch golf every weekend. So, of those 3 to 4 million people, there's not a lot watching LIV, obviously, for obvious reasons, but they're not watching the PGA Tour anymore either. And that's because, because these guys aren't there. I mean, LIV took the big personalities. They took Rahm, they got DJ, they got Brooks Koepka, they got DeChambeau. Like, they have some good players over there. And really, it's hurting us as fans. So it would be nice if the entities, the bodies, the PGA Tour, LIV, OGR, OWGR, the Masters, the Royal and Ancient Society, the USGA. Come on, guys. Drop the egos. Get the best players out there, and let's get these events back for the fans. Ladies and gentlemen, that is This Week in Golf.